Good morning, folks. 27th of October. Had a rough night last night. The dog got her lower jaw caught in her middle Springer collar, the two teeth. It was a hideous sight. She barked very softly, and I discovered she couldn't close her jaw. It was stuck. The lower jaw was stuck under it. It was pretty disturbing. She's doing real good this morning. Me, I've got that itchy sinus stuff again. We have 22 days. They have set us up to take us down in 22 days. And that's because we haven't taken Biden out of office. In 22 days will be the end of it all. The diesel fuel will be gone. There will be no gasoline delivered. There will be no food delivered. This is all set up by design. It's not a mistake. It's not the mistake of some demented old guy. This guy's putting on an act. I'm pretty convinced that this is done totally on purpose. And of course, the reason is because they want to take us down. This is the New World Order. And you folks think, well, we can worship these guys. They're the chosen ones after all, baby. No, they're not. Read the Bible carefully. It'll tell you who the chosen ones are. You got to read the whole thing. And even that probably isn't going to be enough for most of you because you're too busy believing what you've been told in the big box churches on the corners. And they have been lying to you. So here it is. 22 days puts us at approximately November. It's not very good, folks. The 20th, maybe? I mean, let's look at it. I'm going to go ahead and count this up. I think that's kind of important. I don't know who come up with the 22 days. I first heard it on a redacted. It's a pretty good news channel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the 5th. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Sorry, I'm taking so long. 20, the 16th of November, we run out of diesel fuel. And I believe it's the 8th of November, Tuesday, is the election. So by then we should know. Do you think we'll know how the vote will turn out by the time we run out of diesel fuel? I think we could turn this around. Not in time. Not in time before there's a lot of pain and suffering. It might be a good lesson for us. We cannot be complacent any longer. I think that the number one thing we do is we fire all these damn senators. They're the ones that shipped the jobs overseas and made us hostage to these foreign nations. I think we ship the senators home and we tell the states to send in members from their legislators, from their state legislators. They go in subject to instant recall, and we tell the states, you pay their asses. We're not paying for them anymore. I think that'd be a good start. Then the restoration of the 13th Amendment, the original 13th Amendment, which took away all citizenship from members of the Bar Association, from the British Accreditation of Registry, and let them scramble. I'm going to love to hear the attorneys scream from one end of the country to the other end. We didn't know. We didn't know it was the law. Yeah, you legal jackasses. You got us into so much trouble, it's not funny. I'll blame most of this on you, but the medical profession, above all, those boys. You realize that for years they've been killing 80% of us off every year with their mistakes? Only 20% were dying of accidents and natural causes. The rest of the 80%, the vast bulk of us every year were dying from medical mistakes, errors, medical malpractice. And now it's even higher But the commies have total control over the airwaves, so we can't even talk about it anymore. Folks, I don't know what else to tell you. 22 days. It sounds like a caliber of a gun. That's exactly what I go get if I was you. If I don't know what guns are about, I go buy myself a 22. I get a 22 pistol, maybe a 22 target pistol, something you actually hit something with. That's going to be, it's not going to put a man down real fast, but I sure as hell don't want to get hit with one. And by the way, it is far more lethal than most people realize. Anyone who has had a 22 and fought with one, and especially, this is what's a really weird statistic. The FBI is actually good for something. Their records show that nobody who fired first, who had a 22, died in the gunfight. It's better than a 9mm. So we're going to see everything disappearing from the shelves here in pretty short order. I suggest you get ready for it. I'm living here in a trailer park with a bunch of old folks. Well, I'm old too, but the thing is, most of these people have no idea as to what's going on. And I can't tell them because they'll just think I'm a madman. And they won't wake up anyway. My next door neighbor is such a devout Democrat. He says stuff that I never even thought anybody could say. He basically puts every flaw and every error on Republicans. It's disturbing. It's a sickness. It's really a sickness. So we have got a problem with both parties. Neither one of them is any good. They are two wings of the same dirty bird. In case you're wondering what's going to happen in the United States of America, I think it's in the apocryphal books. We Protestants saw fit to take it out of the Bible, like the fools we are. And by the way, the evil ones were in there among us, guiding us in all this, just like they've been in every other movement across the planet. They'll say there's evil in man's heart. They'll try to convince you that all men have this evil in them. Yeah, we're all flawed up. We all have our problems, but we aren't naturally, inherently killers. And these guys, these bad guys are. That's why they're doing what they're doing, because they love war. Now, most of you in this country, sadly, have given in to their bloodthirst, bloodlust, whatever you want to call it. You love war too. Well, you're going to get your war. The Screaming Eagles, 101st Airborne, are over in Europe again. 5,000 of them, added to the 100,000 that we've already had stationed in Europe. And we're probably going to get this dirty bomb going off. And I don't give a damn how much you love your country. Your world is going to be getting slapped around so badly that it's going to have trouble supporting life. These stupid asses that are in office are controlled by the bankers. The bankers decide the wars, and they decide when to exterminate countries and peoples. The final solution was not Hitlerian. Or if it was, it definitely was handed to him. But it turns out that, he wasn't a very good guy. There were some inherent problems with him. But he actually come up with some good leadership. And he actually did some good stuff. I put it in my other videos. Go listen to those. If you want to understand what's coming, then you better order up one of these Bibles so you have something on hand. Because they will be going like hotcakes once this war goes hot. Because you'll be turning to it, wanting God's intervention. And I can assure you right now that it's all been written in the Bible. It's going to unfold just like it is in there. So does that mean we can stop this war? I don't really know. I don't think we stop it. I think we get the brunt of it. I think that we're turned into Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. I mean, that is what we have coming because we've tolerated their bullshit. They groom the children up. They groomed us up to a certain extent. They slowly corrupted everything. Even the seedy parts of our culture, which were on the margins, have now been disturbed and corrupted. It's pretty bad. What do I suggest you do? Buy my Bible, read it, push your way through the book of Genesis, push your way through the first 5 books. It's called the Pentateuch. Then we have something to talk about. There's some books you might want to stay out of. They're kind of hard to understand, the book of Revelations, but still you need to read it. You need to understand. Some of it's very easy to understand. You have Revelations 2:9 and 3:9, and they basically finger the bankers for you. And you have the 3 Gospels, which all give witness to the fact that the very week before he was crucified, Yeshua the Messiah went into the temple, fabricated a whip out of cords, fashioned a whip, handmade a whip, and used it on the money changers, used it on the banksters, those who were doing business inside his father's temple, turned it into a den of thieves when it should have been a house of prayer. So America has been turned into a den of thieves, and it should have been a house of prayer, because you folks need to wake up and realize that we, the people that founded this great nation, once great nation, are descendants of Israel, the man, the real Israelites. And we are predicted or prophesied, whichever word you prefer. Use your own term, pick your term. We are predicted, spoken of, written about in the book of Genesis. So those people in the churches that are preaching from the pulpits that tell you the United States of America is not in the Bible at the end times. Yes, I listened to that bull crap myself. They're lying to you. We are. And so, back to my other point, go to the Apocrypha. You will see Ezra and Nehemiah are 2 books next to each other in the Old Testament. Not spoken of very much. And Ezra was also called Esdras. It's spelled a little differently. And in the Apocrypha, we have 1 Esdras, 2 Esdras, which really should be Nehemiah 2 and Nehemiah 3. Okay? Another way to look at it, I'm not going to say there's an error in there, but what I will tell you is there is a long story, a long prophecy, an allusion, if you will, to an eagle. And this eagle has 3 heads. And it has wings, several wings. And the gist of the story is at the end, the bird is burned from one end to the other. And the picture I get as I read it, now you might read it differently, and that's all right, is that the feathers are burned off it. That's what comes to my mind. It's not in there very specifically, so that's endemic to me. That might be my own sickness, my own projection upon it, but that's what I pull from it. It is burned from one end to the other, and the entire world is taken aghast, stands back. It looks in horror. Yeah, that dirty bird gets burned from one end to the other end. Doesn't say it gets killed, it gets burned. Might that not be symbolic of this nuclear war that will soon occur, which is likely to occur between now and the 8th of November, because those jackasses in D.C. have got to take this nation down before you wake up and throw them out. Yeah. We can expect to see those things slung across the skies, just like written in the book of Zechariah. In the rest of the Bible, there's allusions to it. There's actual specific language that refers to the size of the missiles that go across the sky. Very close to the missiles, the intercontinental ballistic missiles. If you ever hear of Rex, who did the Sniper 101 series, he's got some videos on this. I didn't realize the fellow was so doggone brilliant. I didn't realize he was such a Bible scholar. He's obviously read the Bible on his own for himself, and he's taken those books apart, word by word, much further than I'm going to have time to do in a couple of years. It would take me too long to do that. And he did a good job. I put one comment up on one of the videos, and I spoke honestly. I said, looks about right to me. It really does, and I've been reading the Bible for a while. You too can read the Bible. You too can imbue yourself with the Holy Spirit. You too can access the mind of Yahweh, Creator, Father God. You see, Israel means he who rules with God, not he rules against God or he who rules in place of God. It means he who understands the will of the Lord and does it. You get that by programming yourself up. You have to study. You read the Bible to do that. Look at the example set by Yeshua in the New Testament and the Gospels. He never acted outside of the will of his Father. He said he did everything in the will of his Father, including going to the cross. He did his Father's will. He set the example for us. We need to do our Father's will. It's the same Father. White Europeans are descended from Israel the man, the northern 10 tribes of Israel, who broke across the Caucasus Mountains, thereafter being known as Caucasians. They don't want you to know that. They won't teach it to you in school. I mean, even if it's a myth, should it not be taught in school? I don't think it's a myth. I think it's the truth. There is a pass called the Darrell Pass in the Caucasus Mountains, upon which is chiseled in Paleo-Hebrew. None of this modern stuff that's not Israelite at all. By the way, Yiddish is not Hebrew. It's not Aramaic. It's not Paleo-Hebrew. It's a weird language. Go look it up and study it for yourself. I don't want to make any wild accusations here. I just want you to buy my Bible and read the Bible. And have it handy because you're going to need something to read. I don't know if we're going into a nuclear winter or not. I do know that the earth is recycling itself, that we're at the end of the earth age, and the evil ones know that, and they're using that to their advantage. I don't trust anything that this government comes up with. They cannot be trusted. They have proven themselves time and time to be a bunch of liars and thieves. They work closely with the banksters to steal from us. They call it inflation, but it's really just a big word, a fancy word meaning theft. You know, they rob from us the value of each of these debt notes they give us and force us to call dollars. There is no money. There are only debt notes. Don't fight over it. It's not worth fighting over. And in case you're worried about it, there's enough real money. There's enough real wealth in this country that those bastards that have stolen it all, and this government that's stolen so much of it from us, it can all be repaid. It could be worked out. I mean, you may think that I'm a genius or I'm just a crazy guy. Well, or you might think I'm an absolute madman. Well, the fact is that this government owns patents and lands that it has no business owning. It doesn't even have proper title to it because it doesn't have the jurisdiction. It's going to take some real great legal minds to sort this out. It's going to take some accountants. It's going to take some historians. It's going to take a lot of research, a lot of manpower, a lot of labor. There's going to be jobs just doing that, sorting out this bullshit of this beast system that's been foisted off upon us. I do need to shave. I don't like shaving every day because it doesn't get to be real close. If I do that, it gets so rough on the face, but also I'm kind of lazy. But I did order up for my birthday for myself this wonderful, luxurious shaving cream. Damn, I hate paying $6 to the state just so I can shave myself. You know, that's how much sales tax I had to pay on this order. It pisses me off. Um, I remember when this stuff was $20, and now it's $28 for the canister. But I decided I would do it. I would just shave for special occasion. Date night, you know. That would be nice to have another date night. It's been a long time. Well, the ladies today all want a transaction. That's all they care about is exchange of resources. As another friend of mine said, who's just a little younger than I am, he's read the Bible for far more years than I have, though. He says, "You think that they might like us for, you know, our knowledge, our wisdom, our understanding. They might appreciate that, but all they care about is how much of this they can get from us. And they give us grief saying that we're shallow and we're sexist and we don't care." Well, the crazy thing is that I think men care a lot more than women can care, especially at this point. One of my spiritual teachers told me that this age, the end of this age, and the coming wars, including nuclear, by the way, he said that they would be preceded by two characteristics. And the characteristics of the end of this age would be insanity, and the insanity has increased. Oh, if you can't see it, you might be part of it. The second characteristic is women would become absolutely merciless. And we've seen that too. We see how they conduct themselves and how it goes in the courts. And we've got a lot of great men that have contributed to the body of knowledge, the body of scientific knowledge, whose voices really haven't been heard very well. We've had some marvelous experiments on this planet when it comes to countries, social experiments, the laws, the rules, the ways. There's been some marvelous stuff going on. Yes, there's been some very rich and diverse cultures. And I think if we really want diversity, we keep those cultures separate. Maybe we're coming to that part in the Bible spoken of, whereupon every man will return to his own land. And now that would be something when you see people scrambling to return to the continents from which they originated. There was a time in the Bible upon which the earth was separated. It's just a brief allusion to it in there. I haven't been able to read the Bible enough. I haven't been organized enough. I've been plagued with some problems. I'm looking forward to getting some help. I actually think there's some that might be coming. If not, maybe I get relieved of it all. I've looked at the actuarial tables. Most people are only making it to about 75. I see that on the actual tables, for me, they're giving me and my cohorts an extra 3.5 years beyond that. So we're making it to 78.5. And then we're gone. And you don't have us to kick around. You don't have us to abuse. And you certainly don't have us to turn to and to get help from. I wish my mommy and daddy were alive. There's things I'd love to ask them. I wish my grandparents were around. There were things that they saw, things that they knew. Especially my paternal grandmother. She was college educated. She was ahead of her time. And she was kind of wore out by the time I came along. They were older when they married. They were about 30. And so they were older. And my grandmother marched for women's right to vote. And she was a bloomer girl, which meant basically that her manner of rebellion, if you will, was wearing a lot of petticoats And how could they tell when Ione was coming? Because you could hear her petticoats. She was not a small girl. She was a rather large woman. And she was like 5'8" or something. And she actually wore several petticoats, and they would wrestle. And you could hear her coming down the halls at the college, evidently, Mount Holyoke College in Massachusetts. And that's what they remembered her for. She also worked in a bomb factory during the World War. She also worked as a school teacher. And she complained to me about the Democrats because it was the seventh plank of the New Deal. The seventh plank of the New Deal was the law of the land for 7 years until the Supreme Court ruled it unconstitutional. Now, what did the Democrats do to the women? What did they do to the ladies? Well, after World War II, they made it illegal for a woman to work outside of the home. For a married woman to work outside of the home, it was against the law unless her husband was confirmed by the medical doctor, by the gods you created today, by the medical jackasses. They had to certify that he was medically interred and unable to work, and then the wife could work outside of the home. The Democrats did that. I want you ladies to remember that. That's what they did. The seventh plank of the New Deal was the law of the land for 7 years until the Supreme Court ruled it unconstitutional. And you ladies have been used to destroy this nation. They have motivated you and used you and empowered you in ways they shouldn't have. It's your body. Bullshit. It's part of my body too. The man who's involved in that needs to be consulted. He needs to give his full consent if you want to kill your child, his child. Yeah. Or she should be charged with murder. Because if the man says, no, I want the child, he should be able to take care of that child. He should be handed that child upon birth. I'm not saying, collect child support from her or get anything from her. Let her run wild in the streets where she belongs. That's what she wants to do. Fine. But as far as men's rights, what men's rights? We men don't even have the right to vote. Did you realize that? That errant 19th Amendment gives women the right to vote, and we men don't even have the right to vote? We don't have the right to that part of our bodies which is in your body, which really is the child's body. When you get down to it, whose body is it? And these women are empowered to murder the children? Wow. The evil ones that worship Molech and Baal, B-A-A-L. Same God requires child sacrifice. You pass the children through the fire. Actually, you pass them into the fire. They don't go through it. Even one of the kings of Israel did that with his own children. It's in the Bible. Read it. And by the way, we had a ceremony on our land in Chicago on Soldier Field. July 3rd, 1933, it was a Monday just before the 4th of July, that there was a celebration and supposedly a mock sacrifice of a child to Baal. This giant calf god. They opened up the chest of this beast that looked like it was 14 feet tall, and flames were coming out of it, and they put the baby or the doll, we don't know, in those flames, and everybody screamed in glee and joy. I think that was a ceremony declaring this land Moloch's territory, Baal's territory. Yeah, read the Bible. It's all in there. You'll understand this is the fight between good and evil. Then maybe you'll understand why things are so bad in the United States of America. We're about to get nuked. We're about to go pretty much dark. They'll probably take the electricity away. Here it is wintertime. We're not going to have any diesel fuel, meaning no more gasoline and no more food. Everything's coming to a standstill. It's going to get locked up. There's going to be a lot of rioting. And there won't be any police available. And there won't be any firemen available. You're going to have to do it for yourselves. You're going to have to get used to your neighbor and get along with your neighbor, even if he's a damn Democrat like I got next door. He's a nice guy otherwise, but don't say anything about Trump. He'll tell you about Russian collusion and all. He still believes that shit. Man, these liars on the television, the licenses should be yanked. Oh, if I was president, CNN wouldn't have a license. CBS wouldn't have a license. These radio stations that consider themselves conservative talk radio stations here in the valley, 960, 1100, 550, I'd pull all their licenses. Yes, I would. Why? Because they're not telling the truth, and they're lying, and they're programming up, and they're just a bunch of talking heads for the Mockingbird program, the CIA's Mockingbird program. And Barack Obama, man, he's still running around free. George Soros is still running around free. Fauci, the mass murderer. And what about Governor Cuomo of New York? Are they ever going to charge him with the mass murder of the elderly? There's no justice. None. Not in our country. A lot of undue process, but no justice. Well, thank you for hanging out with me. I'm titling this morning Musings 22 Days. 22 days left of civilization here within our borders. Because we let those greeny meanies, those green jackasses take over. That's in the Bible too, by the way. It's very symbolic. It's called a pale horse, but if you look at it, the real word for it is burl or chloros. Actually, that's right, it's chloros. You know, like chlorophyll, green. Didn't get translated very accurately. I got to look that up and see if this new Bible, they caught that and got it right. And if not, I got to make a phone call. I got to, the green horse it's a symbol for the Muslims, sure. But it's more a symbol for the Green New Deal. And by the way, there's no such thing as green energy. It's a big lie. And carbon is not pollution. Carbon is life. All life, the life forms that you and I depend upon, are carbon-based. What's wrong with that? And you've got these assholes out there telling you that you're responsible for global warming when there is no global warming, first. There is weather control and weather manipulation. It's legal by international treaty, by the way. It's been legal for half a century. Check me on that. Do some research on that. I know of one woman who's so stupidly bright. I mean, she's so bright. And sadly, she's mired trying to take care of her family and survive. And she is so bright that if I had a problem, I bet you I could give it to her, and she'd figure it out within 2 days. She figured out that Tesla started the weather weaponry for us a long time ago. That Tunguska explosion, Tesla set that damn thing off from our soil. Yeah. And her suspicion is that the Dust Bowl may have been weather manipulation. That's her hunch. And she says it's a hunch. And I respect her immensely because she puts limits on the knowledge that she has. But we know for a fact that the longest storm, the longest tornado across this country in history was generated from Wycliffe Tower on Manhattan by Tesla. And no tornado goes in a straight line, except this tornado went in a straight line. I think it was for 700 miles. went right up to Ohio, went straight for Wycliffe Tower. She proved that. And the reason it was destroyed and taken down is because the Russian spies were over here within 6 weeks after the Tunguska explosion, which is still barren to this day. Within 6 weeks of that, they tore that Wycliffe Tower down. The spies were over here, and they knew the technology existed. They knew we had that secret weapon. And I love the fact that there's a brilliant woman in Hawaii, Stacy. I haven't seen her broadcast in quite a while. But, I mean, she was right on top of the weaponry and could show you how they manipulated the weather. They control hurricanes. They can do tornadoes. They can do whatever they want. They can make it rain. They can take the rain away. And then Robert Deutsch had quite a sense of humor. He would take us on worldwide tours. He could use our own satellites back then, but they got onto him, and I think they stopped the satellite feeds. And he would show you, and he would tell you, now watch this. And we'd be damned if the cloud formations didn't change. And then he would take us to the place in the ocean, say, that little boat right there, that ship is generating that. That's got the weapon on it. And look at all the crime. As he said, look at the crime. Look at the guilt. I'm very grateful for these people for bringing that to my attention. All right, folks, this is as long as I want to go this morning. I want to keep them short so I might get more views. Share this video widely. Leave me some comments. I'm not getting much in the way of comments, not much at all. I'm not getting much in the way of likes. I'm not getting many views. This is Awakening Israel, and the purpose of this show is to awaken my brothers and sisters in Israel. Our brothers and sisters in Israel. We are not merely Gentiles. What, tell me, what, pray tell, as my mother would say, what is a Latin word doing in the Bible? Gentile. From gentilius, which is Latin, which means non-Roman citizen. What the hell is that doing in the Bible? They throw you red herrings. They lie to you and they deceive. They've done that throughout. It's in there for a reason. Sadly, it's in there to deceive us. And it does say that Yahweh sent the great delusion so that you would not believe and you would not be saved. And I believe that's in 2 Thessalonians 4 something or other. And I don't think this new version of the Bible got the proper word in it. I'm going to have to go look that up too. The word was translated a in the King James Bible. And I believe it should be the, at least according to one pastor. My pastor, who's, I don't know if he's still alive or not. He's not in good shape. His boys saw fit to give their mother and father the vaccine, but not themselves. Isn't that weird? I went after them on that. I mean, parenticide is a crime. You know, it's a sin. And they're a bunch of narcissistic bastards, a bunch of dumbasses who want to lord it over others. You know, they want to debate and they want to hold it over others. They want to rule over others. Not a good sign. None of the 3 boys is up to par with their father. None of them. One of them there was great hope for, but he had to debate in a very horrible way. It turned out that the big brother, the oldest brother, was busy intimidating the rest of us so he could rule over us. That didn't go very well. They weren't ruling with God. They were ruling against Yahweh. Make sure you don't make that error yourself today. Pick up the Bible, find out what Yahweh's will is, and do it. Yahweh bless the United States of America. Yahweh bless Israel, the real Israel today.